Welcome friends to another r/AmITheJerk video. I might be a jerk for asking, but could you hit the like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our first story of the day is by stepmother23. Am I the jerk for telling my stepmother to get over her child calling my wife mom? My father married my now stepmother late in life after an accidental pregnancy. For reference, my father's 71, my wife and I are 32 and 30, and my stepmother's 41. My stepmother was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer while pregnant, and it's progressed to stage 4. She has less than a year to live. We've already worked it out between the three of us that after my stepmother passes on, my wife and I will be adopting the baby. It's the perfect solution. My father will get to fully retire and have a more appropriate grandfather role. My wife and I will be able to have a second child, and our older child will be able to have a younger sibling that they've already bonded with since we already do most of the care for the baby because she's far too ill. I came over to visit and show them pictures and videos of the kids. I didn't think about this, but in one of the videos, the baby can be heard saying mama to my wife. She got angry at that and asked if we allow the baby to say that, which we do, and it came out that we would be adopting the baby when she passes on. She balked at that and said she would never allow it, but quite frankly, that's just not her choice. I tried to tell her to not worry about it and that we would make sure she wasn't forgotten, but she got angry and tried to say that she would stop it. I shouldn't have engaged, but I did, and I ended up telling her to get over it because that's just what it's going to be. She started crying and I stormed out. My father's upset with me for upsetting her, which I feel bad about, but she's the one who made a big deal about it. She never even had to think about it. She brought it up, not me. We didn't want to stress her out about it because there was no need to. But what did she think the reality of the situation was going to be? My wife and I are already the ones raising this child. My father's too old to fully raise another child or even want to. I don't think it's my fault that she pressed for a truth and then didn't like what she found. So I'm gonna just be honest, I think OP is a jerk in this situation. Like, even if that is what's going to happen eventually, I think you need to have the wherewithal to understand the situation that this person's in and not point out or discuss things in such a brazen way that says like, well, when you're gone, things are gonna be different and we'll take care of things, don't worry about it. And had like all these plans and contingencies in place specifically for when they're gone without them even having like a say in it or a full understanding. What do you guys think? Was OP a jerk here? Was OP being a really big jerk? Or do you think that OP's honestly understandable? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next story is by What the Hexco. Am I the jerk for telling my boyfriend that if he wants me to dress and present a certain way, he needs to pay for my clothes and hair and nails and time? I'm a woman in a career field which really doesn't care about appearances. My boyfriend's in a job where looks matter more, investment banking. He wears suits and has to present himself as more wealthy to look good at work. My boyfriend's wanted me to come to some work events, dinners, or happy hours, but he said it was something we'd need to dress up for. I offered to wear some nice dresses I have, and he said that it was more than that. His coworkers' wives and girlfriends wore designer and had professionally done hair and nails, and that it was really just what was needed to succeed in his workplace, so he considered it a professional expense. I said that made sense for himself, but I'm not responsible for his professional expenses. He agreed to pay for the clothes and salon appointments, and I also asked him to compensate me for my time getting presentable for those events. Additionally, if he wanted me to act a certain way during these events, which was different than my usual behavior at a social event, it should be treated like work. I'd expect to be paid for my time. He thought that was unfair, saying that it was weird to charge my boyfriend to attend an event with him. I said that if I'm not attending as myself, but instead presenting an image for business development purposes, that's not socializing, that's labor. He agreed to that at the end, and we came up with a list of things I'd need to attend an event with him. Designer dress, designer heels, jewelry, hair done, nails done, makeup done, handbag. He picked out the dress, heels, and bag, and he asked me to find salons to have my hair, nails, and makeup done. When I told him how much the cosmetic appointments and the time I spent on them cost, he was upset it was $700. And adding that to the clothes he bought and the time would be at the event, it was coming to almost $2,000. We went and I played the part. It was uneventful. Nobody paid me much attention. Felt like a bit of a waste, but whatevs. But afterwards, when I mentioned that I wanted to borrow his card to make an appointment to get the nails removed, since I needed to file them down by a professional before work, he got frustrated with me, saying that I was milking him for money and that I was only with him for money. I told him that I make the same as he does. He got pissed and said that most girls know how to dress themselves and do their own makeup nice. And I got frustrated. I said sarcastically, "Go date most girls then. I'm sure most girls would love being treated like a human dress-up doll." He got really mad about that, and I feel frustrated too. Like, he expects me to do crap unpaid for his work. Like, I would never ask him to do crap for my job, let alone do my job unpaid. Am I the jerk for wanting to be paid if my labor was going towards my boyfriend's career? I don't know if this is a situation where I can really call anybody jerks necessarily. I just feel like the dynamic isn't working very well between the couple. I feel like it's rather reasonable to say, okay, well, if you want me to dress up at these places, pay for the hair, pay for the makeup, pay for the clothes. But I also think it's kind of crappy that they would say, and pay me for my time, this is labor. Like, I get it, they don't really want to be there. I'm gonna say not the jerk, but I don't think that necessarily means anybody's explicitly right or wrong. I just see a couple that doesn't seem that compatible with each other. Our next story is by Reverse Ad 3095. Am I the jerk for sticking to my word and refusing to help my husband with his mom? I'm female, 33. My mother-in-law fell extremely sick and has been bedridden for 3 months now. Her husband's deceased, and her daughter and 2 sons, who didn't even bother to visit, live towns away. So my husband's left to fully take over her care. He wanted to bring her to live with us, but I said no and had my reasons for that. One of them is that our home isn't fit for disabled patients. And I already explained this to him, but he chose to pick an argument and say I don't want him to help his mom, but that's not true. I suggested that he pays for a carer and said no when he asked that I contribute money with him, and the reason is that his mom has assets he could sell to pay for a carer. I suggested a home care, but he got very offended and said I was nuts to suggest such a thing. After shutting down all my suggestions, I made it clear I will not be taking any part in his mom's care or be dragged unwillingly in her care. He said okay and then moved in with her now. And I bring him meals occasionally, just doing what I can. The other day, I was in the kitchen reheating his dinner when I heard him shouting for me to come help lift his mom off the floor after she fell off the bed. I went to see what was going on, but refused to get involved. He asked what the freak I was doing by standing by the door and staring. I reminded him that I will not be helping out after he shut down other means of help. And he lashed out, saying he had no time for my pettiness and insisted I help him lift his mom. But I just turned and walked out, leaving him yelling for my help. I stayed in the kitchen for a few minutes, then he barged in calling me cruel and unhinged for seeing him in his struggle and refusing to help just to prove a point. I told him he shouldn't act surprised, and he replied that he couldn't help but feel surprised that I was this unhinged and petty. I said, I'm not petty, I'm just setting boundaries and sticking to them. And I did not volunteer to be a carer. I'm not qualified and neither is he, but he argued that being sympathetic and helping his family doesn't require any form of qualification. He lectured me about how appalling my behavior was, how I could have helped just a little, then said that his mom will never forget me just standing there and refusing to help. The guilt tripping got me overwhelmed, so I grabbed my stuff and went home. My mom knew and berated me for what I've done. She said I should be proud of my husband for being a stand-up guy who helps his family instead of guilting him and making him feel like he's making a mistake for choosing to support his family. He called me later and cried, saying I hurt him with my behavior and he never expected me to act this way towards him and his loved ones. I felt awful because I'm a sympathetic person and this wasn't my intention. I was just trying to make him understand he doesn't have to carry a weight he can't bear, nor drag me along with it. I'm happy he's willing to help his family, but I don't want to be used if he's okay with being used. Am I the jerk? So, I completely understand the point they're trying to make, but in that moment, just staring at the mom on the floor after falling, Yes, it's not your responsibility, and I know you don't want to get roped up into it, and it's like a slippery slope. You help pick them up one time, then maybe it's another small thing, and then it just grows. But I think Opie's a jerk for saying, no, this is my boundary. I'm not going to help you pick her up off the floor. You get your mom up off the floor yourself. Don't think I'm going to help you. This next story is by Conflicted Mom THA. Am I the jerk for giving my son's new bike away after the prank he pulled on a girl he was friends with? So recently I found out my son Jacob, 15, pulled an incredibly cruel prank on one of the girls I'll call Ashley that's in his friend group. I know this girl. She's been to our house and even attended Jacob's birthday party a month ago. She seemed incredibly sweet, if not a bit shy. So when my oldest son Mark, 17, came to me and told me Jacob had asked Ashley out on a date as a prank, I was stunned. I of course asked how he could know this, hoping as any mother would that it wasn't true, but Mark showed me the family tablet we all use, but mostly my sons do, and it seems Jacob forgot to log out of his chatting app, Discord. I read the long series of messages between Jacob and his friends as they mocked Ashley all through this heartless prank. I was speechless, and that's not even getting into how he was talking, like he was some thug and not a 15-year-old living in a gated community. At first I couldn't figure out what to do or how to proceed. I'll admit that I never once imagined either of my boys would be the type of person to do something like that, but there was no way in heck I was letting this go. So, after a day of thought, I decided what was going to happen. First things first, he was grounded. For how long, I'm not sure. Secondly, I'd gotten Jacob a bike for his birthday, but it hadn't arrived until the day previous, and I'd planned to give it to him when my parents came to visit since they'd been unable to make his party. But instead of that, I showed him I knew about the prank and told him he was grounded. Then I made him carry the new bike out of my bedroom closet and to the car before driving to Ashley's house, him crying the whole way. I'd called her parents earlier and explained everything, so once we got there, I had him cart it to the front porch and ring the bell. Then in front of me, Ashley, her parents, and God. I had him give a sincere apology and gift her the bike. Even I apologized to her, saying I didn't raise my boy this way and what he did was unforgivable. I also called the parents of the other boys who were part of this little stunt, and they all seemed rightfully horrified by their son's involvement. I felt like I'd handled this all the best I could, and my friends agreed. Though once my parents found out that I'd made Jacob give his birthday gift away, they said what I did went too far. I still feel like what I did was right, but having my parents more or less dogpile on me like this actually made me wonder if how I handled it was too extreme. Am I the jerk here? I would say not the jerk, because no kid growing up at that age deserves to be pranked in that weird emotional mix-up kind of way. I feel like that kind of stuff really can mess you up mentally for a bit. So doing something that really cemented in your son how bad it was what they did, how bad what they did was, and for giving the girl something nice to get out of it is ultimately a good thing. And our final story of the day is by Flowers Are Forever 4. Am I the jerk for removing my sister from the bridal party because she won't wear the bridesmaid's dress? My fiance, 28-year-old male, and I, 26-year-old female, are getting married in late August, and the planning is going great. I asked my sister, 24-year-old female, to be one of my bridesmaids, since we've always been very close. However, a couple of weeks ago, I had to ask her to leave the bridal party. The dress I selected for my bridesmaids is very summery. Pink, strapless, and knee-length. However, a few years ago, my sister converted to a very conservative church, and her new church has very strict modesty rules that do not allow her to show her arms, legs, or any of her chest or back. We argued over the bridesmaid dress, with her offering to wear leggings under the dress and have the top altered or wear a cardigan. I said no, as this would look very strange in my bridal party photos. And since she refused to wear the original dress, I asked her to leave the bridal party. My sister's been really upset, and now she feels like she shouldn't come to the wedding at all. But at the same time, I feel like her duty as a bridesmaid is to wear what I want her to. So I had the right to ask her to leave the party. Am I the jerk? Usually I'm pro bride and groom's experience when it comes to delegating what goes on at their wedding. You don't want kids around. I get it. But in this specific case, it's your sister's own chosen religion that has very strict guidelines. It's like telling a vegetarian that the only way they could go to your wedding is if they eat the meat at the reception. Honestly, this situation's worse than that example. You're trying to tell this person to defy their own religion that they're passionate about. I'm curious what the end result actually was. Did they go or not? But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.